Did that really just happen? Hey everybody, welcome to After Action Report, your recap show for all Schmidt's matches to keep you caught up on all the action. I am your host Megs here for the Call to Action podcast channel. Oh my goodness, do we have a packed episode today because Friday Night Titans episode 10 was by and large, I think overall consensus, the best episode we have had yet this season. So this is not the episode that you want to get spoiled here before you've gone and watched it. So please, if you have not seen the episode, please take the time to go and watch it. It was absolutely amazing to watch. You do not want to be spoiled on the big reveal. So go ahead and go do that. But if you have watched it already and you're here to just get a quick catch up on what's been going on, don't worry, I'm going to be doing that. Quick thing here up at the top here, I will not be doing an after action report next week. I will be out of town, so I will do a double episode in the following week. Probably break it up into two parts, so if you just want to watch that week before, or if you want to get caught up on what happened when I wasn't here, you'll be able to see it on separate videos. But without further ado, let's jump right into this week's episode and our first scene. We see Peggy coming and finding the survivor, a FCL competitor who happens to speak in third person the whole time and offers him a chance to be her partner. She says, "What I'm told is the goal is to build up new talent." The survivor agrees and they will be tag team partners for the main event. Again, those of you that are familiar with the FCL, you will recognize the survivor as David Jindoyan. He also made a debut in the free-for-all last weekend as well. Next, we see Frank catch up with Ben and Kate as they are coming into the studio. Frank wants some insight on this change in direction from Spectacular by Kate. Kate first starts off by complimenting Frank and says that she's having a change of heart. And Frank asks Ben about, after playing so well against Radis and with Guy, this now unconventional approach to getting a new tag team partner. Ben remembers what it was like when coming into the league and wants to give back to those who impressed him last year. It means a lot to Kate to get Peggy back, and Frank is curious about who Ben's partner actually is. Ben says he's a patron of his, a terrific guy, a little shy, but has done really well at trivia. Thinks the audience is going to love him. We see Saul come in. "This thing with Peggy, is it real?" he asks. "You do right by her, maybe we can talk." Frank comments it seems a lot has really changed and we'll have to stay tuned and see how it all develops. How will this all develop indeed? As I have said in previous episodes, this has definitely been a very different approach for both Kate and Ben. But hold on, we're going to get to what actually happens later on in the episode. But first, let's jump into our first match of the night, where we see Amaru Moses facing off against Saul. Coming out of round one, Amaru is up by 3, 9-6. In round 2, Amaru defers to Saul, who spins away from Alien and Predator, hits a wild card, and it ends up being the new category, which is the Matrix series. Saul goes 6 out of 10, checking down to multiple choice twice, misses a question on 2 points, but it is not stolen by Amaru. Amaru decides to take Marvel on his first spin, comes away with also 6 out of 10 points, checks down to multiple choice 3 times, misses a question on multiple choice, and it is stolen by Saul for 1 point. With this, Saul gains 1 point, but Amaru is still up by 2, 15-13 going into the final round. Where Saul hits his 2-pointer in X-Men, Amaru hits his 2-pointer in Jurassic Park. This sends it back to Saul, who hits a 3-pointer in Spider-Man. Amaru misses his 3-pointer in Dystopian Future and Time Travel. Now, on this note, this was the question that was challenged during the match. The question was asking about the movie Time Cop, which, while it sounds like it would fit in the time travel category, it was not on the official list. It was challenged as Amaru wasn't thinking about that movie because it wasn't on the official list. However, according to the ruling that was laid out by Mark, there is a clause in the list of IG films that states that any movie can move into another category should it be appropriate. So that challenge is overruled. This leaves Amaru to hit his 5-pointer in Marvel, which he does, and forces Saul to answer a 5-pointer in Planet of the Apes, which he also hits. And this gives Saul the win with a final score of 23-22. Where Amaru Moses answered 15 of 19 questions for 79% accuracy and scored 67% of 33 available points. Saul answered 14 of 19 questions for 74% accuracy and scored 72% of 32 available points. Now, I do have to make note, this is now the second time that Amaru Moses has lost a match on giving up a lead going into the final round. When he faced off against Kalinowski back at the Scum and Villain Cantina matches back in the middle of last year, he was up on the current champion by 3 points going into that final round, but because he missed his 3 and his 5, that allowed the champion to get the upper hand in the final round, and Mike comes away with the title defense. And it was also noted that Saul was only able to come away with 6 points in the category Planet of the Apes, which was his 5-point question in this match, in the previous match that Saul had against Amaru at Collision last year, because Saul only got 6 points, and the deficit that he already had, he was down by 6 points going into the final round to Amaru, and that allowed Amaru to come away with a TKO victory in that first meeting. So a little bit of retribution, a little bit of revenge on that category specifically, which tanked him in their first meeting, allows him to come away with the win in this match. Now, it is noted that this is a number 1 contender qualifier match. So the winner of this match will now face off against Kevin Smets, which we got confirmation at the end of this match. That match will be this next week's main event for Friday Night Titans. So we are going to see Kevin Smets facing off against Saul in the main event for Titans. Speaking of, we did see Smets approach Saul in the post-match interview, saying that he respects Saul for what he's been doing and is looking forward to the match, but hopes they have insurance because they will bring the roof down. But Saul reminds Smets that he isn't the underdog anymore, and the next installment of the Stall Show will be these two kicking each other all over the studio. This post-match was just a ball of emotions to begin with, because even from the very beginning, Saul was having a pretty intensive heart-to-heart with Jen based on things that had happened last year and what his headspace was like coming into this match. And then you have Smets come in, and they just set things up beautifully for what this next match against the two of them is going to be. And I am super hyped for what we're going to see against these two. But we're not done yet for the night. Let's move into our lead-up scene to our main event. We see Peggy and the Survivor are talking, both very excited to get to play. Kate finds them and thanks the Survivor for doing this, offers to put in a good word with a manager. Then we see Ben come in a panic. His patron doesn't want to do it. He's freaking out. He's got nerves. Kate can't believe it. But Peggy offers to try and talk to him. To the patron that we hear is named Jeff, saying it's okay to be nervous, something that he's been a fan of for years. He finally gets to be a part of, assures him that everyone will be kind, and wants to see him succeed. Ben and Kate go back in to check on him. Survivor thought it was amazing, and he got pumped up just listening to her. Ben doesn't know what she said, but Jeff is going to play. He's excited. Thanks, Peggy, and we'll see them out there. So I'm going to pause here and give huge props to Peggy and the Survivor both being in this scene. Survivor still speaking in the third person, which is so endearing. And I'm going to give huge props to Peggy here because she just did a fantastic job with this scene, being so encouraging and getting this patron ready to go, talking about what seems like a close similarity to her own experiences coming into the league, being so excited to be a part of something that she's been a fan of for years, with just a really cool interaction and conversation to see. Even though we don't actually know yet who this person is, it was still a really cool interaction to see. And we are all set for the introduction to our main event team match. Now it appears that Jeff is going to be taking a little bit of coaxing to come out. We do finally see him, and Guy and Alice instantly have a lot of questions. But coming out of round one, Bateman and Jeff are up by 4, 20-16, with Bateman and Jeff both going perfect, but missing the bonus question, and Gubbins and Survivor coming away with 8 points. In round 2, Bateman and his partner defer to have Gubbins and the Survivor spin first. They spin away from Steven Spielberg and end up taking Jennifer Aniston. They come away with 6 out of 10 points, checking down a multiple choice 3 times, misses one of those questions on multiple choice, and does have it stolen for 1 point. Bateman and his partner spin away from sports on their spin and end up taking Newman and Redford. They sweep this category for the full 10 points. This now gives Bateman a gain of 5 points to now be up by 9, 31-22. We see Peggy hits her 2-pointer in Oscars, but the survivor misses a 3-pointer in Harrison Ford, which gives Bateman and his partner Jeff the win via TKO, with a final score of 31-24. Now, before I fully break down the stats, I will briefly talk about what actually happened immediately after this match. Ben and Kate are so excited about Jeff's performance, they go over to congratulate Peggy and the survivor, but Kate ends up getting the mic and says that offering Peggy a spot on the den was never going to happen. Kate and Ben can't believe she fell for it, crowd reacting with boos, prompting Ben to yell "shut up" to the crowd. Tells Peggy and survivor they had a great time, cackling, and poor Jeff seems confused. And it's revealed that Ben's partner is none other than Dangerous Dan Murrell. Guy and Alice can't believe it, and the tarnish on the legacy of this amazing player. Dan shushes Mark Ellis. Guy can't believe that. Dan has been hearing the fans talking about Danger Zone was a disappointment. Harloff thought they should break up. Danger Zone was thrown to the toughest teams and still had a winning record. How could you all think they would break up, and did you just see what happened? So since Danger Zone never officially broke up, this means that they now get a number 1 contender match based on the deal that Kaiser made at the beginning of the season. This prompts Ben to ask, who would he rather want as a teammate? Peggy Gubbins or the greatest player ever? Saul comes in to console Peggy. The crowd gets behind her, and she is just heartbroken. Danger Zone continues to laugh at the idea of them betraying Kaiser after he built the team. To them, that's completely laughable, and they go to leave, but Saul confronts Ben and has to be pulled off by Christian, and Danger Zone and Kate leave without a post-match interview. Wait, he was... Okay, let's be real here. This was amazing. A beautiful start to finish multi-episode saga that led to a beautiful reveal. I loved every minute of it. Despicable as it may be, it was well executed. Huge props to Peggy and the survivor for the fantastic job that they did, but we now have the official return of Danger Zone as a team, with Danger Zone winning via TKO with a final score of 31-24, where Danger Zone answered 26 of 28 questions for 93% accuracy and scored 94% of 33 available points. Gubbins and Survivor answered 21 of 27 questions for 78% accuracy and scored 65% of 37 available points. So the only misses by Danger Zone were the bonus questions in round 1, which I do count towards accuracy and potential points earned because, 1, they were asked the question, and you always have the potential to get that bonus question. So apparently all the scenes that we were seeing previously about Ben taking to heart what Guy said about building up other competitors and getting Kate to change directions were not real at all. And we see a great turn where Saul comes in to come to Peggy's defense. Just that console of them both feeling very betrayed by their former manager. And this is just like the boss to find the loophole in the deal where they are still honoring the deal that Kaiser made, but not actually doing it with Kaiser as their manager. And huge props to the production team on hiding Dan's identity during this match. I love the use of the voice modulator. It was a great diversion to not really give you any sort of idea on who this person actually was. I saw several people in the chat saying that that sounded like a female voice just based on how the modulator was changing Dan's voice. Beautifully well done. But we're not quite done yet. We have one final scene to talk about before I wrap up. We see Kate, Bateman, and Merle heading outside. Frank catches up with them. They apparently didn't want to talk to Jen, but Dan will talk to Frank, with Dan saying that he's going to come to Frank's house, take his show, and bury it with all his other bad takes. Seems that all Dan has done has not been enough, and Frank will just call anyone the goat according to him, and apparently it's not enough for the fans either. Kate, now no longer having to be nice to Frank, lays on him that Peggy and Saul are done, and this is the den. Then telling Frank that the boss always has a plan. Kaiser comes out furious that he set this deal up and they're going to betray him. The whole gang starts cackling, and while Kaiser expects this from certain people, but not from Dan, Smets comes in, has to pull Kaiser off, but not without Smets telling Dan that he's disappointed in him and thought of him as a hero, with Merle replying, "Looks like it's time to find some new heroes." And Danger Zone and Kate go walking off, and I guess that is the end of the show. So what can I say? I love a good heel turn, and this was one of the best that I have seen in recent years. Now, most people have known Dan as the humble titan of trivia player who is always very respectful. Even when he was on Danger Zone last year, one of my best moments from that team was during the match against the Untouchables. You saw Bateman, McQueenie, and Paige going at each other, and Dan just sitting back reading a book going, "Leave me out of this." It was a beautiful moment. Love that character work from him. But this is something totally different that we have not seen from Merle before. The only time that we saw this close was way back in 2016 when he defended the belt against Mark Ellis at Spectacular in 2016. He was taken on by the Lions Den at the end of that season, but then he quickly turns on them after losing the belt to Roca later on in that next season in 2017. So really up until that point, we had never seen a heel version of Dan. But oh my goodness, is he making up for lost time? Because oh my, he is fantastic in this role. Now, whether or not you love or hate this turn of events, I have to give mad respect to all people involved, and I am very much looking forward to the fallout that is coming from all these events. And that's going to do it for this week's episode, but don't worry, I'm not going to be back next week, but I will be definitely back the following week where I will do 2 episodes where I will cover the episode that's coming up this week as well as the following week, making sure that I'm covering all the action, all the stats, and all the storylines. Before you leave, make sure that you have hit like on this video, you are subscribed to the channel, and you are leaving comments both here and at the socials listed down below. All the breakdowns that I present here will be posted to the socials down below. Until next time, for the entire Call to Action podcast crew, I'm your host, Megs. This is After Action Report, signing off. Yes, that just happened.